Hello, friends. Welcome to Akul Mike Live, and I'm your friend Chandrakant. Today, we want to discuss something which is happening in the political world and also how it is affecting the game of cricket. The news is that the New Zealand and UK has cancelled their Pakistan tour. Obviously there are security concerns, and to discuss what is going on in all of this, what is happening to the cricketing teams and the fans, I will like to invite my greatest friend and mentor from UK, Mr. Gaunt, who is the chairman of MindFit Ltd, and he is joining us from UK today. So let's welcome him. Good morning, Neville. How are you doing today? Welcome to the show.
Good morning, CK. Good morning, everybody. I hope you're well. It's a beautiful Indian summer in the UK, as we call it. So we're getting that lovely breeze and that lovely hot weather. So the cricket. Sadly, the Indian summer for cricket is waning. We're not going to have any cricket over the next few months. International cricket anyway, because of two issues. There's always security concerns when it comes to these important people traveling around the world. But I think the biggest issue at the moment, CK, is mental health, personal welfare. What these things that are happening around these special people, these sports people at the top of their game, and all the people around them. Remember, they don't just come as a team of, 11 and a few extras. There's about 40, 45 people that come along in this entourage. They can almost effectively fill up half a plane. It's the mental health of those individuals. And we've seen it quite a lot in the Olympics, mental health being talked about constantly on the news, on the TV. And I think we're now seeing the impact of mental health across the world. So what do you think, CK? Are we now coming into a time where we need to be looking after our brain, let's say, in a different way? Or is it the security measures, do you think, that have come to the fore with New Zealand and the England cricket team not going to Pakistan?
Well, I may be biased, so please forgive me for making some biased statements. But I think Pakistan invited this trouble by themselves. They are the only country who are supporting Taliban. Their prime minister is openly going out and telling, hey, let's support Taliban. And when it comes to cricket, Taliban is the only country which has banned IPL tournament as un-Islamic. And they are saying that IPL broadcast will not be allowed in Afghanistan. And obviously, more than the mental health, I believe as a human being that the well-being and survival is more important at the moment. So obviously, the cricketing fans are the losers right at this point in time. I mean, global cricketing fan, including myself. But I think we need to be worryful about the security of our legends, cricketing legends. And I personally feel that this is a reason behind New Zealand and England taking this decision, because they are not sure about security being provided by Pakistan to their players. So I think this is my feeling. But definitely look at a country like Pakistan. They invited it. They are actually depriving their youngsters from a good cricket.
Yeah, I think there's always politics at play here. And, I see the TV just as much as you. I don't necessarily believe everything that these journalists are trying to say, because there's always a bias towards particular journalists going in a particular direction. I from a political point of view, I think we should state that the change in management in the country, in Afghanistan, is critical at a critical point, Just like any leader in any country or in any organization, they can say what they like, but it's actions that actually tell us what they're doing. I'm famously known by saying, you'll see who I am by what I do. Not what I say, but what I do. And consequently, I may not do the right thing every time, but I'll try. I'll try my best to do it. And so now I think we're at that tipping point, I think, of we've heard lots of words, we've seen lots of writing, and we're getting to understand what this new government is all about. We're told that they're 20 years more experienced. In some respects, I think we were all quite surprised at how quickly the new regime took hold. And interestingly enough, there were fights, obviously. There was loss of life on the way, but not the loss of life that we heard as they were retreating. So if anything's to go by, we can say, well, that's good. There hasn't been as much loss of life. Not that any loss of life isn't important. It is absolutely important. Everyone's life is important. But we now wait and see. So the security aspects, they're always there. I mean, they've always been there ever since I've been traveling to Pakistan during the 1990s. And indeed, the security issue about travel in many parts of the world is always there. So I don't think we can sidle out any one particular arena for that. And obviously, when you're in country, there is high security around you. I mean, as a traveling foreigner in foreign states, you know, I've had armed guards around me. I just got used to it, really, with my life in the oil industry. But I think that's one thing. We can put that to one side. But I actually think this decision is more about the mental health. Remember, countries are still struggling from COVID. Let's take New Zealand, for instance. They have one COVID case and they shut the whole country down again. Now, New Zealand has not got millions and millions of people there. There aren't, hundreds of millions there. It's a small country. It's the remotest country in the world. It takes the longest to get there. And they're doing things to protect their people. So it's not surprising to me that mental health now is becoming up front. We're worried about, in the UK, we're worried about our frontline staff, our emergency defenders, the ambulance, the police, the fire brigade, those people that respond, the first responders. We're concerned now that they've been overworked. They're exhausted, like they're being burnt out. Burnt out was a phrase, if you remember, CK. Mental burnout was sort of coined by people in the city, people on trading desks that would be in their office at 6 o'clock in the morning and literally walking home at 2 o'clock in the morning when they've had a really long day. And not surprisingly, burnout, when they were talking about a 30-year-old, they've only had like 8 or 9 years work, but they're burnt out, mentally frazzled. And a lot of them then retire, which is all right when you've got lots of money. But unfortunately, these early responders, first responders, are not blessed with, millions of pounds in the bank. So the mental health arena has come to the fore. And I think that actually is playing far more of a position in decision making, not just for these sports people, but for lots of people. I'm sure you're thinking about your mental health all the time these days, if not for the fact that people are talking about it more often on the TV and telling you, keep your spirits up, keep your health up. And you keep your health up by taking exercise and eating the right things, etc., etc., etc. So what do you think about let's just take this to the side, really, about the mental arena. Do you think that we've seen an increase in the amount that people talk about mental health now? Certainly in the last, 6 or 7 months.
Yes, it is one of the key debate item nowadays, and a lot of advices are being offered also by doctors, by learned people, how to keep up your spirits. And sports is one of the key element here, because you can watch the match and you can get relate yourself to the real life. How you used to compete with others in real life in business. So you can watch the sports, and I think it's one of the key here. India has done pretty well in the Olympics compared to last year. Not as good as other countries, but they have increased their tally. We have shown to the world that we are now progressing beyond single sport country to multi-sport country, because India was previously world champions in the cricket, but they were nowhere in any other sports like football or anything. So we have done very well. We have done pretty well in hockey. We have done very well in shooting, wrestling, and boxing, and also in the Paralympic. In fact, the exposure of Indian athletes in Paralympics is far greater than the Olympics. We got more medals in the Paralympics. So I think while it's a very key subject, and if we had seen New Zealand playing against England, or against Pakistan, because Pakistan also have a strong team, I think this would have solved some of these cricketing buff some issues. I think we are all waiting as fans. We are all fans of Pakistani players. In fact, especially I grew up as one of the fans of Pakistani players, because forget what is going on between India and Pakistan. The players are very good. And like a person like Imran Khan, who invented the reverse swing and things like that. So I think an English team as well as New Zealand team. New Zealand team is very strong, actually, when it comes to cricket. And India has just finished a UK trip, just few weeks back. So I think it would have been a great tournament, and it would have lifted the spirits of the cricketing world, cricketing fans across the world, and that would have solved some of these mental issues. I fully agree with you. I think we should play more sports, and we should have more broadcasts of TV and showcasing these sports. This is my thinking, Neville. Long answer, sorry, but this is what I think.
No, not a long answer at all, CK, because remember, as you said, it's a sport. Cricket's a sport. We're fortunate to have lots of sports around us. I mean, I wouldn't say I had a sporting family, but I certainly did my own little bit, going down football, rugby, cricket, and squash. Of course, India had probably one of the best squash players in the world for many a time, for many years. And I think sport is a great leveler. There's no politics around sport, or there shouldn't be any politics around sport. It's crept into the games, obviously. But there are really no politics around sport. It's literally, when you talk about cricket, it's a bowler v the batsman. And it's a one-on-one, really. Can I bowl a fast ball or a spin that's going to fix you up, or are you going to knock me for six? And indeed, some of these great phrases, "Oh, you've knocked me for six," come from great sporting events such as cricket, and the terms, how's that? We all are into how's that, as we now say, what's up? Which has probably come from the how's that arena. And you see the fans enjoy themselves at cricket matches. They're not all sitting there, back in the 1950s and 60s in their white shirts because they can't clash. They're not allowed to distract the batsman. You have to wear white jackets, and you have to wear certain colours, and you You can't stand up. You have to sit down all the time. Now, there's bands, there's people dressing up in bananas and all of these type of, all sorts of things that they're having there. And indeed, the coverage of cricket, the TV coverage has just gone exponential. In fact, if it wasn't for the TV coverage of the IPL couldn't afford to run. So, the amount of money that's been, thrown into the game, and it does lift everybody up. India and Pakistan is a cricketing nation. I have to make the point here that we invented the game, but we can probably argue about that at another time. But the thing is, it's fun. It brings people together. It is hugely uplifting. The way that cricket is being played today, we've got several versions. In the summer here, we had something called the 100. I know you watched some of it. It was very exciting. Sometimes it went down to literally the last ball. And for those that, are cricket lovers that said, oh, you can't have less than six bowls in an over. Well, they've broken the mold there because there's only 5. And the same bowler can continue. They can do, they can bowl at both ends and they can bowl 15 balls on the trot. So everything's changed. It's an exciting game. They've mixed it up. I will miss the competition because I think the world of cricket was looking forward to it. I know my son, who's an avid cricket lover, texted me as soon as he saw it on the news, and he basically said, "Well, what am I going to do now?" I had my whole 2 or 3 months geared around this traveling tournament, and it does mean a lot of people have a lot of change in a lot of people's minds. So his mental health now is being affected. So there's a knock-on effect everywhere here. But I think above all, we need to make sure, and it's the right decision. They've made it. It's not going to be reversed. They've made it for all the best reasons, and it's sad, but we need to get on with it. I think there's now an opportunity, and the opportunity for Pakistan, because they were expecting all of these people to be coming. They were going to be spending a lot of money, and there would be a lot of gate receipts. But now for the Pakistan Cricket Federation to look at what they can do in its place. Yes, it's a huge disappointment, and they can moan and scream and get annoyed, or alternatively, do something different. What was that tournament going to do for Pakistan cricket? So now what can we do to replace it? It's not going to replace it perfectly because these international players are not coming. But what can you do? You've still got a lot of Pakistani players, first-class players that are there. They live there. What can be done with them? How can we, make something out of a disaster? And I think this is where the world of cricket and the leaders of cricket need to come to the table, and they need to start thinking about what impact can we now have, despite the fact these things are not going to happen. So it's a big question for everybody. We may as well talk about what's happening in the IPL at the moment. Is it in full swing yet, or is it's just about ready to start?
Well, I think it's just about ready to start, and there are, especially in India, because there are a lot of fans, and especially we have huge numbers of people who are fans. Literally, we have about 45 days of cricketing season in our country. There is another application which has been launched called MPL. This is very interesting because you have IPL, you can watch it on the TV, and you have MPL. What is MPL? MPL is a mobile game where you can actually make your own teams. You can select the players as if you're doing auctioning, buying the players and bringing them to this club, that club, and you make them play with each other virtually in mobile platform. So that game is also very, very popular. It's called MPL. So you can check it out. You can tell your son Neville to check out MPL. I think he's going to be thrilled to see that kind of innovation. Uh, but I think my 2 cents on this whole issue is that you mentioned about the mind issues, mental issues. I think the PCB, which is the Pakistan Cricketing Board, ICC, or I mean, the Indians have boycotted Pakistan Cricketing Board for many years now. I mean, the two legendary teams have not played with each other for over 20 years now. The New Zealand has not played with the Pakistan team for 18 years. So I think it is not the cricketing fraternity which has to be blamed. It is the political arena. You know, they need to fix that somehow, because cricketing is one thing. It affects other walks of life as well. Other people, business people, they may not be very, they may not feel very comfortable traveling, because if cricketing high-profile players are not coming, I mean, definitely it's very unsafe for other normal people. So it will start affecting Pakistan as a nation, and they should think about it. It's been almost 20 years. Their interaction with the world is reducing day by day. They are not producing anything which anybody wants to buy also. So their industry is also going down. Their games are going down. So I think it's definitely a political issue which requires politicians to fix. It's a mental issue, definitely, because it is going to become a mental issue if it is not fixed right now. This is what my thinking is, Neville. Your last views.
Well, you're absolutely right. Unfortunately, it's all of these problems are stemmed in politics. But I think we can leave this on a very positive note. If you ask the cricketers from wherever they are in the world, but let's focus on a Pakistan cricketer and an Indian cricketer. If you ask them, would you like to play each other? The answer would be a resounding yes. Of course they want to play each other. And then you take it to the next level. Let's keep the government out of the arena for the moment. Take it to the next level. Business. If you've got a businessman in each of these countries, would you like to do business with each other? A resounding yes. Why? Because they know I've got something to sell, you've got something to buy, I would like to buy yours, and you would like to buy mine. I mean, simple as that. It doesn't matter. You know, religion doesn't come into it when it's this arena, and politics doesn't come into it either. And unfortunately, it's the third man here. As another cricket term, the third man is always the needle in the haystack, and it's the one needle in the haystack that always causes the rift, and it's the politics. So the answer today is keep politics aside, go out there, do things that you want to do, go and have fun, go and enjoy it. Doesn't matter who you're talking to in the world, go and make the relationship, because that's the only way, actually, politics will change. When people from the East talk to people from the West, people from the North talk to people from the South. There should be no barriers to discussion around the world. And as far as I'm concerned, I think we should have a bowler called politics and the best batsman in the world to knock that ball straight out of the court, straight out of the ground, and knock it for six. Because I don't like politics. I think the politicians, some politicians, are trying to do the best thing possible. Unfortunately, there are a few that really don't want to change. But that's my personal opinion, probably not to be repeated elsewhere. You have your opinion on politics. I don't really want to get into a discussion on politics because it's something that gets everybody annoyed. So let's keep to sport, let's keep to business, and let's keep those channels firmly open. Because as those channels are open, it will only do one thing. It will improve our mental health. We will start thinking about how we can do things. You know, what's stopping us from doing that thing? Can we do something better than we did yesterday? And that's what goes through these top sports people's minds all the time. You know, you're out trying to outfox the bowler, and the bowler's trying to outfox the batsman. And that goes through any game. So let's go and have fun. Let's play some games. It's a shame that this tournament isn't going ahead, but let's not worry about it anymore, and let's get on with life and do something else. Great speaking with you, CK. I'm sure my son has already got the app. He's into all these fantasy leagues all over the place. So it's one of those things that we talk about on a Sunday of who's got more points than somebody else. And again, bragging rights, run wild, you know, and it's a bit of fun. No money changes hands, and all that we have is loss of face, which in a family setting, you know too well, that could be quite expensive. But I hope you have fun today, CK. I really look forward to the IPL kicking off. I'll be up there, you know, fairly early in the morning watching the previous night's play. And yeah, here's onwards and upwards. And as someone said in America, in a very famous TV program called Frasier, good mental health.
Thank you, Naval, for giving us such wonderful advice. I think this is awesome, and most of us will follow it. Thank you so much for joining us today. We will catch up in the next program.